Robocop, yet another franchise from my childhood. I really liked those movies when I was just a little kid. Even though they were brutal and graphic as hell, and certainly not for underage audience. Still, under all that gore and action, there was a psychological thriller in its core. Even if the theme was deep and dark, both youngsters and adults could feel the gravitas of what it was, never mind if they could actually understand it fully. Over the years, since 1987, we had plenty of games on the movie licenses. Unfortunately, not many of them were good. To be completely honest, I do not remember which Robocop game I played previously, if any at all, so I can't say if any of them were any good. But I can tell you if Rogue City, the newest one, is worth your time, so make yourself comfortable, stay for a while, and listen. The storyline starts simple enough, just like in the movies. You go into action right away and see how the things evolve around Robocop, and inside of him as well. You are going to embody this cyber police officer and keep looking through his eyes, in the first-person perspective. As I mentioned before, game touches several serious topics, despite the veil of an action title. Just like the movies, it is mostly a psychological thriller, and pretty good one at that. Main plot is gonna put you through the story we know very well, but we all wanna hear it just one more time. You gotta deal with the demons inside you, as well as fight off the bad guys, so the justice is served. Besides main plot, we got to experience many smaller stories while doing side quests and activities. Some of them are very good, but even weaker ones are needed in order to establish presented world and Robocop himself. It is important to witness how he deals with many different situations in order to have a most complete picture of his fascinating character. I wish villains were written as good, but that's not the case here unfortunately. Someone could say that it's in classic action movie style, but still I would like something better instead. Also, there are some logical errors in the stories told here, but nothing so major that would shatter the whole picture, worry not. All in all, the story told in Robocop Rogue City is what one would expect from such a title, and I'm fine with that. When it comes to gameplay, however, it feels like I'm playing a game from early 2000s, with modern graphics. Very strange yet very nice feeling, especially combat, because of very pleasant shooting with plenty of guns to try out and pick your favorites. You can really enjoy your Robocop status most of the time. You are very tanky and it takes massive firepower in order to take you down. Additionally, you get very satisfying breaching mechanics at your disposal, so you can break some walls like they were nothing at all. But there is one problem with that, namely automatic slow motion sometimes, oftentimes kicks in not appropriate moments at all. Other than that, the only other thing that is not very fun, fights with ED's 209s. They are long and uninteresting. Adding some environmental elements to use against those bastards would help immensely, but I guess it's too late for that now. What does the Robocop do when he is not fighting, you may ask? Well, he is fulfilling his role, of course, and the game helps him to do that with many RPG elements. We got dialogue options, so we have an impact on the story and how it is summarized at the end. There is also a skill tree, however those skills are not to my liking. Passives are okay, but the active skills are problematic. They have too short of cooldowns and they do not feed lore very well. I do not remember Robocop having powers like the heroes in Crysis games, but oh well, here we are. Despite those minor shortcomings, gameplay here is very good. I was truly satisfied. So how does the game do on the technical level? Since it's developed by not so big Polish studio, you may wonder if it's up to the par and can compare with big AAA titles. And the answer is both yes and no. Rogue City is inconsistent in many of its elements, so let's dive into that. So firstly we got decent visuals, nothing groundbreaking, but it is very good for what it is. Especially surroundings look really good both at night and daytime. It is really impressive what level designers could do here with the help of Unreal Engine 5. Moreover, the destruction system adds up to the impressive look of the game during heavy action. What made it look worse than it should though is the fact the level of detail changes too close to the camera. It concerns objects and textures alike. Developers used software version of Lumen to improve reflections, but there is no nanite to be found here. Well, maybe in the next game. What worries me more is that arms on many characters look off. Very bad even. I guess modelers in the dev studio need to take some additional anatomy lessons, or maybe it's a problem with their skeleton rigging system. I don't know, it has been many years since I last touched 3D model editor. But let's get back to the reflections for a second here. Even if they are very good, it seems that Robocop is not only a cyborg, but a vampire as well, because his reflection is never to be seen in the reflective surfaces. Blah! And why pieces of paper are flying all around the streets when everything is wet? Doesn't make much sense at all. And lastly, when it comes to the visual side of the game, I wish animations were a little bit better. I understand it is not a AAA game, but still. On the other hand, the interface is just perfect. It is very simple and functional, yet it resembles closely what we know from Robocop films. A+ for that. So how about the audio in Rogue City? It is mixed bag as well. Most of the sounds are very good, exactly what you would expect from a Robocop title. But some of the sounds are too loud, like firing some weapons, headshot, SFX or hit sounds near you. Music is good, it sounds like Robocop but it's used too sparingly. Sometimes silence can annoy you more than repeated soundtrack. It is like that because there is not many tracks recorded for the game, and part of them is just slightly modified version of a movie music. And I suppose this kind of licensing can be very costly, so I suspect it was a cost-cutting exercise. It's such a way since I listened to the music from the movies when I was writing down this review. There are many very impressive and beautiful pieces included. They were so good that it all made me think about where and when it all went downhill in the music department of big film productions. But that's topic for another whole article. Or even a book. Knowing life, someone has already written that book. Voice actors do a decent job here, with a highlight being Peter Weller playing Robocop again. Nice. Are there many or any bugs and glitches, I hear you asking? Well, yes of course, dear viewer, how could we live without them? The most annoying for me was shimmering of surfaces when effects setting is not set to epic. But when it is, it tanks performance by worsening frame times and lowering 1% lows especially. Overall performance is really uneven and not impressive, but for that you can check out my previous video where it is presented. Fortunately, game only crashed to desktop once. It's becoming a pattern lately that the games I play only crash once during playthrough. It is very suspicious, but I wouldn't go into some wild theories about that just yet. Let me test several more games, and maybe then I'll start to worry. Summing it all up, the game is good. It is a real nice change from all the so-called modern gaming that plagues our beloved industry in really unhealthy ways. It is not a masterpiece AAA game, but for what it is, it's very good indeed. It reminds me of simpler times and simpler games, which we could enjoy not worrying about so many unimportant things surrounding them. To be frank, in 2023 we got plenty of reminders of that, the biggest and brightest example being Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe not all is lost and we will witness a renaissance of honest good video games that will give us plenty of joy and entertain us for years to come. This is what I wish for us gamers. But coming back to the start of this show, Robocop Rogue City. For who I can recommend it? Well, that's simple for all the players who liked Robocop film series, and for those who like to play some decent first-person shooter with good RPG elements. And even if you are neither, I recommend that you try out this game, maybe you'll just be pleasantly surprised. Okay, so that's all I've got for you this time around. I'll see you in the next Great Late Review.